You are listening to I Am Refocused Radio with your host, Shamaya Reed. This show is designed to inspire you to live your purpose and regain your focus. And now, here's your host, Shamaya Reed.
Welcome to I Am Refocused Radio. Once again, we are here today, and today we have a true guest, a true honor, talking to Christian de la Huerta. And we're going to be talking all about power, love, and inner truth, because he not only was an amazing TEDx speaker, but he also is a personal transformation coach. He has spent over 30 years helping people remember who they truly are beneath all the noise. He is an internationally known, respected speaker and coach, and has also attained awards. So you know his street cred is good, but most importantly, his story is even better. So outside the stages and the best-selling books like Awakening the Soul of Power, he's going to share with us the background story. So first and foremost, I want to welcome to the show today, Christian. How you doing, man?
Hey, Shania, man, what a beautiful introduction. Appreciate being here with you. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate your time because the proof is right in the story. So let's jump right into it. When you think about your beginning, I remember reading your bio that you went from a shy, self-doubting person to a global force. So how did you find that motion of transforming from where you were to where you are today?
Yeah, I was born in Cuba, so I lived in a communist country for the first 10 years of my life. And I always had a sense of purpose. Like I always knew that I had kind of a mission, a work to do to make a difference in this world, in real human lives. And yet I was painfully shy. Like I was okay one-on-one, but if you added a third human, clammed up. And speaking in public, forget it. Like that was not going to happen. And yet it was that sense of mission that got me through that. I knew I had to get over it. And past high school, like I got through high school without speaking in public. But at that point I signed up for a public speaking course. And it was that concept of feel the fear and do it anyway. That's what it was. For 14 weeks, I had to get up and give 3 2-minute speeches, and I hated it. Come Monday night, I was already dreading Thursdays. But after doing it 3 times a day, week after week, like, it stopped being such a big deal. And here I am.
When you think about power, you say power isn't about control, it's about presence. And it takes an art to do that, because as an amateur, anyone can have these big dreams and big thoughts. But when the rubber meets the road and reality hits you and points out your weak spots, you might have to give yourself a little bit more time and grace.
Yeah. And power is like such an important issue to talk about. And I'm an unlikely person to be speaking about it, because I know powerlessness. I know depression. My adolescence was one long depression. I know self-doubt. I know self-hatred. And yet flash forward to today and looking at my life, no matter the details, the circumstances, whether a relationship works out or it doesn't, whether a project succeeds or it fails, in quotes, never, ever, ever do I question my sense of self. My self-worth is unshakable. And so I know if that can happen in me, it can happen in anybody. And power is we've been so conditioned to think that power is a bad thing. Like power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And what good person wants to be corrupted? And then add to that the countless times that we have all witnessed abuses of power, like any given day. Not only in our personal lives, but on the global scale. You got to watch the news or read through the headlines that you spot at least one. And so when you combine those two things, is what happens is we end up giving our power away. How many times have we said yes when inside it was a no? Inside it really wasn't okay with us. But in order to maintain an illusion of peace, because we feel rejection, and we feel like if we really be all of who we are, that we might end up alone. And so we stuff ourselves. We play small. We hide our light under a bushel. And it's not a good strategy because that only leads to frustration. And so what I started to realize, and what that book is about, awakening the soul of power, is like, how do we step into power in a different way? How can I step and own my hour and my power in a way that doesn't require hierarchy or control, that doesn't require that I put anybody down, step on them, put my knee to their neck in order for me to prop myself up and feel powerful. So it's all about power with rather than power over.
People can find themselves at times playing small, and playing small can contribute to you giving the power away. What have you learned in your moments when you think about times you play small? What do you believe we lose in those moments? And how can we prevent ourselves from repeating that process? Because it's not something I think that we can easily just do with a snap of the finger. But if we reflect, then we can learn how to not continue that pattern of giving our power away.
Yeah. And you're right. That is the highest price we pay when we play small, is we lose ourselves. We're sacrificing our authentic selves. And that's big, because there isn't anybody out there in this universe, or any other universe for that matter, who has the same genetics, the same set of experiences, the same preferences, likes, desires, dreams that make each one of us unique, that make each one of us who we are. So if we don't give expression to that, ain't nobody else going to do it. And that is a huge loss to all of humanity, to all of consciousness. So how do we get through it? Like, short way to it is cut it out. Like, stop. Like, I get it. I've done it. I understand it completely. The playing it safe, the not wanting to rock the boat too much. And I also know that it's not a good strategy, and that that is the universal imperative, is to be all of who we are. And that is how we make the best and biggest difference in the world. And yes, it's going to take a process of discovery, because a lot of times we don't even know who we are. So start small, right? Going within. There's no way around that. Nobody else can tell us that. Nobody else can tell us who we are. So it requires a deep process of going within and start with the more superficial stuff. The more surface level stuff. What do you like? Do you like chocolate or vanilla? Do you like action movies or rom-coms, right? Start with the easy stuff. How do you like to spend your free time? And then start asking yourself the deeper and deeper question. What makes you come alive? What makes time stop when you're doing X, Y, or Z? Right? Like, why are you here? Why are you really here? And how are you going to make the most out of this very short time we have on this beautiful planet?
When you say all that, it makes me think about relationships that we have in our lives. And you've written books on that. When you think about being conscious of what we are doing in the very moment, how does that position us to have healthier relationships? Because if we don't like what we see in the mirror, how can we expect ourselves to extend ourselves to other people?
Exactly, right? People we attract are only going to match. They're going to meet us at that same level, like we're like water seeking its own level. So if we're approaching relationship thinking like there's something wrong with us, or like we're not good enough, like all those misunderstandings that we picked up along the way in childhood, none of it true, none of it real, but if that's how we're approaching life, if that's how we're approaching relationships, that's what we're going to get back from life. So that's the benefit of doing this deeper work that we're talking about, is because we free ourselves. We work through all these misunderstandings and confusions and untruths about who we are. And little by little, we start peeling the layers and letting go of the stuff that no longer works, the stuff that we have outgrown and that we're ready to shed like an old snake skin that can no longer contain us and hold us back. And pretty soon we start unleashing that light that is inside every single one of us. And that's our job. Nobody else can do that for us. And that's where our happiness lies. That's where our fulfillment will be found.
I'm a visual person. And when you said that, I just had a visual of an individual standing guard in front of a door. And if you look beyond that door, where they're blocking is the light. So when you say that we are in control and we are responsible of letting that light shine, that's what it is. No one else can dial up or dial down. What we do is up to us to open that door and let that light go through. And it's by our choices. Your choices is your life. You go with someone's life, just look at the choices they make.
Beautifully said. And I love that visual. I'm also a visual person. I was right with you opening that door, cracking it open. And start small, right? Like just crack it a little bit at first. Maybe open the little window in the door to see what's on the other side. But do it. You gotta do it. Because like we're saying, nobody's going to be able to do it for us. And that's where our power, our purpose, all of it lies, our happiness.
Once again, listen to Refocused Radio, watching us online, talking to our guest today, Christian de la Huerta. And you can go to his website, soulfulpower.com. When you consider how there is a difference between where we want to be versus reality. And it's very tempting when you're trying to better yourself and make progress to prematurely place yourself where you want to be in the future. But it's almost like driving a car with no wheels. You're not going to go anywhere anytime soon until you address the needs that are meeting the moment in present time. Kind of touched on that with the audience, because in order for us to build systems that actually work for us, we have to find out what is holding us back.
Yeah, I love that question. So I'm going to pause on that and finish what we were saying. Add one more thing to what we were saying before, because I know there might be somebody watching or listening who will think, well, but how arrogant to think that we have light and that I have work to do. We've been conditioned, right, to believe, to play small. You can't shine too much. We've been taught to hide and not let ourselves be seen. And to me, it's the other way around. The arrogance is playing small. Who the blankety blank do we think we are, hiding our light at this time where it's all hands on deck? We are all needed fully as possible to make a difference in this world. The planet's going to be fine. It might take millions of years, but life will continue. Consciousness will continue unfolding and evolving in some way. Whether we make it as humans, right? That's what's up. And that's the critical nature of our times. So tying that, it's like, right, if we have that sense, that suspicion, the slightest inkling of belief that we might have something to do to make a difference in this world, how do we do it? It can feel overwhelming, right? Like, how do you eat the elephant, right? One bite at a time. So step by step. I love that image from one of the Indiana Jones movies. I forget which one it was, but he's standing on the side of a cliff. The Holy Grail is on the other side. There's this endless chasm between them. And it's not until he figures out that he has to take a step into the void that the bridge shows up to meet his foot. That's how we do it, right? We got to start. We have to initiate the first step, trusting that something's going to happen. We don't have to know everything that we got to know. We don't have to know how and when, but we got to take action, some kind of action. So yeah, I mean, start wherever. Like, if you don't have a website or haven't started a newsletter, start a blog, right? Start posting on social media once a week. Just start anywhere to get those wheels going. And when we take that initial step, then the universe can respond. Opportunities will open, doors and windows will present themselves, and the path will be shown.
I like that, because when you think of how, if you're a fan of sports, Usually to get to the end of the game, you have to actually play the game. You can't just sit and watch the other team do all the work. You got to do the work too. If you want to see yourself as a champion or however far you want to go, then you have to not just see that. You have to do the necessary things that's going to, like you said, when chance and opportunity presents itself to you, most of the time it's parallel to our choices and what we're doing. It's not ever going to connect if you just have a great, profound thought about what you could possibly do. But when you actually take the responsibility that if I just take one step, I love where I had a previous guest, he mentioned that when you aim to be 1% better today than yesterday, you're better than most average people who never even think like that. Because when you actually do that 1% more, it's going to take commitment. It's going to take time. It's going to take choices. You can never buy time back.
Right.
So you got to make the choice. You have to say, I'm committed now. Okay.
Yeah.
If that means, okay, I'm going to do some exercises. I'm going to eat something healthy today. That's way better than someone who just thinks about doing it. Well, I'm just going to scroll and see what's available on the internet, see what courses are available, and see what apps are available. There's a lot of people that does the observing, let me just see what's good out there. There's a lot of window shoppers out there. You take that commitment of owning that space. I think what stops us, I'm going to throw it back to you. I think what stops us is that we're ashamed of our lack, and we let that become a barrier to what we could be. Because all we see is a window shopping opportunity, but we think we don't deserve to be better and be greater. So therefore, we make another excuse of why we weren't meant to be.
Yes. So you said some really good things, using excuses, and you used the word responsibility, which I know used to scare me. But here's a way to look at that word that kind of diffuses the heaviness around it. Responsibility. Ability to respond. That's all it is, right? Respond to life, respond to the natural gifts that we've been given. Like in your case, your voice. Like, oh my God, listening to you, like you put me in a trance, like in a higher level, like touch my soul, the depth and the resonance of your voice. And you're using it. Right? There's so many things you could have done with it. You're using it to touch lives, to cut through the BS in life and bring positive, empowering messages to your people who gravitate to you. That's all it takes, right? Responding to life's opportunities. And that requires being present and being self-aware and doing that self-inventory. What are my gifts? What am I good at? What do I love to do? What makes time stop again? And what do I want to do with this very short time that is going to go by so fast?
If someone's watching this and listening, they're like, but wait, time out. Here's my question for the guests. How do we lead or simply live without losing ourselves in the process around the chaos that always seems to be around us? You know, they say when you're busy, that's when it breaks down. It's never when you're bored. It's always when you have a job and duty to do something that requires your responsibility to show up. That's when you get tested.
Yeah. I'm from the tropics, and so we know hurricanes. So a visual for me that's really powerful is the eye of the storm, right? We allow all the drama of life, like both on the macro, like world level, global scene, and the drama in our lives, right? The people, their expectations, their demands of us, the demands of our work, our co-workers, our colleagues, our spouses, our families, our kids, our parents, right? That's all around us, and we remain centered, right? We remain centered, present, with that ability to choose, like choosing how we're going to respond to all the demands and circumstances of life. That's the key difference. We retain choice about when and how to respond. And in order to be able to do that, we got to be present, right? So how do we do that? use your breath, right? You gotta first of all realize that we spend the majority of our time stuck in our heads, like imagining a future that may or may not come to be, fearing about it, projecting into that, or rehashing, ruminating about a past that is gone and will never come to be. All of it figment of our imagination. The only thing we know is real is this moment right now, right here, right now. So the more that we can spend time in that, the better that things are going to go for us. Even at the level of success, our relationships are going to be better. Because we get caught up in arguments or discussions, and they're talking, and we're not even listening. We're in our heads planning what we're going to say in return. So we're not even listening to each other, really. So slow it down. Use the breath. The breath is what slows everything down. And we can talk about the breath forever. Have a TEDx talk on the power of the breath. But when we're all stressed out and not present because we're again in that catastrophizing mode of fantasizing about a future that may or may not come to be, expecting the worst, that the other shoe to drop, pause, stop it, take a breath. Like the way to slow down and get the body to relax is all about the breath. So there's swamis in India that can tell their hearts to slow down, and the heart slows down, right? Most of us don't have that kind of control over our bodies. Anybody can slow down the breath. Anybody can do that. When we slow down the breath, the heart has no choice. The heart has to slow down. As the heart slows down, the nervous system begins to relax. The body begins to quiet down, and then we can be present, and we can make choices from that place of clarity, rather than the chaos that we too often live in.
Another visual for you and viewers and listeners. Imagine you can juggle. All right, even if you can't, just imagine you could. You think it's easier to juggle running or standing? That's kind of how we are with our lives. We get too deep. Like another prompt for Chat GPT, we get too deep in the weeds and trying to figure out every single answer to life's questions. And sometimes all we gotta do, take a chill pill, man. Take 5 minutes just to reflect.
Yeah.
Like, I get to the point where the show has grown beyond my wildest dreams compared to when it started in 2017. When I started practicing 5 minutes, I do nothing, I say nothing, I just chill 5 minutes. That has allowed me to not just reset, but has allowed me to go forward clearer, because you can't go forward if your mind is chaotic. Everything is ticking you off. Everything is setting you off. Everything is pulling you back. Everything is pulling you here and here and there. Yeah. You take purposely 5 minutes. It can be 5 seconds. Stop. How can I move forward with clarity? Because if you're not doing that, you always are going to be feeling that you're beating your head on the wall. It won't change until you take care of that.
Yeah, I saw you do that right before, we're talking, and you said, okay, you ready? I'm going to play the intro graphics and music. And as it was starting to come in, I saw you go in and close your eyes. That's what I do too. And you're right. 5 minutes, even 5 seconds, right? Just that moment of choice. Slow down the conversation before you say something or do something that you're going to then react or regret. How many times have we done that, right? The react and regret cycle. Boring. The adrenaline gets us. They say something that got our goat, and we immediately react and say something to get them back. But then the adrenaline dissipates. And then we go into, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. That was so mean. I can't believe I said that to my friend or to my lover or whatever. So why stay stuck in that cycle of react and regret? And all it takes is that moment of choice, a breath. so that we can drop in, feel the ouch, maybe if that's what's happening, and then choose, like, all right, I feel that. How can I show up differently? How can I get off this merry-go-round that I've done 1,000 times? They do this, I do that. They do this, I do that. Boring. Let me try a different way of doing it differently. How can I show up in a different way that's going to pop us out of this merry-go-round?
Like the visual that you painted earlier about the movie, when you step out into, quote unquote, the unknown, that's when it almost triggers the opportunity to present itself to you, because you have presented yourself that you're ready to actually move with action and not just with your amazing thoughts. Because if we all can win with our amazing thoughts, there would be no need for a podcast. There'd be no need for books. There'd be no need for movies. There'd be no need for music, because that's what makes the human experience the most amazing experience. We get to choose what we write in our pages. No one else gets to choose what we write. We get to choose what we write. And that's why if you just take the moment and say, how can I stop losing my power? Because you talk about being drained. We position ourselves to be drained. It's not always them. It's us not having boundaries.
Yes.
It's us not breaking cycles.
Yes.
Because when we start to break those cycles of what's causing us to be drained, we stop losing that power. That power is the value. It's like a ripple effect. If I get good night's sleep, if I eat healthy, exercise, when I get up the next day, I get to present myself in the best possible way to this world. So it's a ripple effect when I go to work, when I go gas station, when I go here, when I interact with my loved ones, when I interact with my friends. They feel the energy of the ripple effect of what I've been able to do, and that's store all that power that I did not allow to be drained. Now, someone will say, what power are you talking about? Me, it's my faith in God. For you, it might be something else. That's fine, whatever it is. But my point is, when you understand what is causing the pain, it's up to you to fix it. Because you can get all the outside professionals, but they don't have the pen. When they're done with the sessions, when they're done with all that magic talk, here's your pen, sir, ma'am. Now it's up to you to live the life that you want to live.
Yeah. Profound wisdom in your words, Shemaiah. And tough teachings too, right? Because in over 30 retreats now that I've been doing retreats and coaching with people, I think what we struggle with the most is tearing up that victim card, right? And taking responsibility for our lives. And I don't mean to minimize what happened to people. I know human beings do stuff to each other that should never, ever happen. And I'm really sorry about that, right? About whatever it is that people went through. Like, it should have never happened. It wasn't okay. And what are you going to do about it? How are you going to show up in response to that? Right? That's what pops us out of that victim mode. That because when we keep ourselves in the victim mode, yeah, sure, it works. We get sympathy, we get stuff, things, and people to do things for us, kind of thing. But at what price? Right? When we're keeping ourselves in that poor me, woe is me mentality, we've given away our power. We're keeping ourselves disempowered. So that's the price we pay, and it's a high price. We're talking about our fulfillment that we're giving away. And so in many ways, we're giving our power even to the perpetrators, whatever they may have done. And so to me, there's no way around it. If you want to be happy, if you want to be fulfilled, if you want to fulfill your purpose, your God-given purpose, if you want to go there. We've got to tear up that victim card, and we've got to look within and do the work of healing whatever it was that happened. And there are many modalities to do that, whether it's therapy. Breath work is one that did it for me. I come out of a psychotherapy background. My father was a psychiatrist. I studied psychology. I was on a path to get a PhD. And when I discovered breath work, I jumped tracks, because I have yet to come across anything that heals past trauma, emotional and psychological trauma, as quickly and as effectively. And I know that it's hard to believe. That just by breathing in a certain way for about an hour, all that stuff can happen. And yet I can't argue with the results. It works.
I do it too, man. I produce shows of talk show hosts who are doctors, and they swear by it. Breath work does wonders. My personal doctor was like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, there's a lot of things I'm doing. I'm walking a lot. I'm playing hoop, you know what I'm saying, at the park with basketball, and do my breath work." And what I'll add to that is, it's not just you taking the moment to do that. It's you breaking the cycle. I'm going to use that again. It's you breaking the cycle of doing what you always done.
Yeah.
Because that's the secret handcuffs that we put on every day. When we have the keys to just not wear them. It's repeating those vicious cycles.
Yeah.
When you make a declaration that it ends now.
Yeah.
Not in 5 minutes, not in 5 days, not in 5 years. It ends now. Whoever's watching, listening, when you get that in your mind, it ends, whatever it is, now.
Yes.
Then what happens is, you take those deep breaths. What happens is you get up earlier. What happens is you show up to this meeting. What happens is all these other things start going, because there are opportunities coming your way. It's amazing how when you stop a cycle and things start coming your way. Because it does the exact opposite when we put ourselves in those handcuffs. When we don't stop those cycles. It's the exact opposite. All opportunity, it runs away. It doesn't just not show up. It avoids you.
Yeah, it's so powerful. And somebody who really inspires me in that area is Viktor Frankl, the Austrian psychiatrist who spent years in a concentration camp. And they took everything, he lost all his property, his degrees, his education, his family, his pregnant wife. Everything was taken away from him. And that guy was able to say, in that setting, that most unimaginable, inhuman of settings, that they could take everything away from him, except for one thing. And that was his ability to choose how he would show up in response. And if he can do it there, certainly we can do it in our lives. And again, I'm not minimizing anybody's pain or trauma or history or past. I'm not. But we have to free ourselves from that. And we can. If Viktor Frankl can say that, we certainly can.
Once again, listen, I'm Refocused Radio, watching us online, talking to our guest today, Christian De La Huerta. Go to his website, soulfulpower.com. Last thought I want to leave with you is that when we think about heroes, you can fill in the blank, whoever's watching and listening. But for me, when I think about a hero, it's usually someone that you admire, you want to strive to be, because they're doing something that makes you feel, wow. That's not just amazing, but that's inspiring. Heroes, disclaimer, they all have a weak spot. The difference is they don't let it break them. And what I mean by that is they show up. That's a hero.
Beautifully said, man. Beautifully spoken. Like you touch my soul. And we can all do that. Right? No matter what happened in the past, no matter what happens going forward, we can always say yes and show up as fully, as authentically as we can. And that's how we change the world.
Mic drop. Once again, Refocused Radio. Make sure you go to our guest website. Again, it's soulfulpower.com. If someone's listening, watching, wrapping things up, if they can keep tabs on any updates, events, or products that you have, services in the future, what's the best way for them to read updates and stay in tune?
Probably my website is the best way to reach me, soulfulpower.com. I'm from there. They can email me or they can access my social media. And I want to thank you, Shemaiah, for having me on the show. I want to thank you for having such a profound, soulful, insightful, deep oasis in this chaotic world of ours, because I know many people are being touched through your work and your willingness to do it.
Well, like I always want to say for everyone that I have on the show, is always a true honor to explore life through a different lens. Because what's tragic is that we want to claim that we know all the answers, and clearly we didn't live your life story. And that's why we have people like you on. So once again, thank you for your time being on the show today.
Thank you.